Okay, folks, welcome back. At this point, you've got a sense of the big picture for the course, what the learning objectives are, how you're going to be assessed with assignments and other kinds of activities to make sure that you achieve these learning objectives. But now the rubber's got to hit the road, right? And you're asking yourself, so what are the nuts and bolts for how this class is actually going to work in the day-to-day, in the week-to-week? This is going to be especially important for many of you who are potentially lamenting the fact that when you originally enrolled in this class, you didn't necessarily sign up for an online class. And I completely empathize with that position. There is something special about face-to-face interaction in a classroom. And I love it. I miss it. And I can't wait to do that to some capacity in my classes on campus this year. However, that being said, I think there's a real potential to have some great things happening by having your experience in Introduction to Communication be an online class. There are things that we can do in the online format that aren't just going to help you succeed in this specific class, but they're also going to be able to get you ready for online as well as face-to-face classes with a variety of skill sets and dispositions that are going to improve your performance as a student. And it's also going to be able to take those skill sets and make them transferable to the kinds of online training and professional development that you're likely to have in whatever career you decide to pursue after college. So I'm actually pretty stoked that we're going to have an opportunity to take this class as an online course. Now, that being said, some of you may have lots of experience in online classes, but this one might work a little bit differently than ones you're used to. For others of you, perhaps for most of you, you may have relatively limited experience in online learning environments. And for some of you, this may be the first online class you've ever taken. So it's going to be important to recognize that there are going to be some features, resources, activities that you're going to need to be familiar with in order to do your best and to succeed in the course. And one of the things that's going to be really important to understand up front is that this course is going to require a fair bit, if not nearly completely, asynchronous activity. Now, since the pandemic hit last March, many of you may have some experience with what's referred to as synchronous online learning. If you've had a class where everything takes place, or many things happen at least, take place in real time. The students and the instructor get together in a Zoom meeting, and you have an otherwise traditional form of class where everything takes place during the same time frame, right? That same 50 minutes or 115 minutes or whatever it is. That's not how an asynchronous class works. Most online classes actually involve activity that takes place on your schedule as a learner. Asynchronous means that not everybody is going to be engaging this material and these activities at the same time. So that gives you a lot more flexibility. And these days, flexibility can be pretty important, right? So when you're doing things like course readings and video lessons and participating in discussion and doing the work you need for project assignments and things like that, you're going to be setting your own calendar. Now, that is not to say that there aren't deadlines in this class. There absolutely are deadlines for assignments and activities. And that's not to say that we don't have a set schedule for the kinds of things that we're going to be learning, what we're going to be doing when. We absolutely do. The course is organized by modules and then by weeks. So we have 7 modules in the class, and each module is 2 to 3 weeks, and we have different specific areas of content for each of those modules. And so you need to stay on track. And so what this means ultimately is that while you can absolutely benefit from the flexibility and the do it on your own time nature of an asynchronous class, on the other hand, you are going to have to be proactive and take the responsibility to do things on your own without me kind of poking you to do it, right? Falling asleep in class is something that's on you this time, right? But I'm going to do my part to try to keep you motivated and to give you the things that you need that you're not going to want to fall asleep in class anyway. One of those things that you might appreciate is the course readings, right? Hey, what are the books we need for this class? What do I have to go to the bookstore to get? The short answer to that question is nothing. What I've done with this class is provided OER course resources. OER is an acronym that stands for Open Educational Resources. What I wanted to do was to scan the interwebs for high-quality textbooks written by experts that have the information that you need, that's current, that's accurate, and that's helpful to learn the various things to achieve the learning objectives that we have for class. And so I found a couple of textbooks, as well as some additional supplemental readings. I'll give you an article to read every now and again, courtesy of our Ellis Library. But open educational resources means that everyone can access them online for free. And so that's going to be a huge cost savings compared to a lot of classes. And I'm sure you might appreciate that. Now, that being said, there are going to be a couple of things that are going to be assigned for you to view that you are potentially going to need to pay for. As I may have mentioned in a previous video, each of the class discussions that we're going to have is going to carefully engage a film reading, a movie, or in one case, a set of television episodes that we're going to treat as case studies to dig into and apply the concepts and theories we've been learning to see how things are operating in the communication dynamics and to draw some critical conclusions. Now, most of those video resources I'm able to provide for you for free. However, in a couple of instances, there's one film and one collection of 4 television episodes that if you don't already subscribe to Netflix or to Amazon Prime, you are going to have to pay to rent those. And the collective cost, last time I checked, for all of those rentals was $12. And so if you have any difficulties being able to access any of the videos that you'll need for the film readings, please don't hesitate to let me know. There are circumstances that are different for everybody. So I want to make sure everyone has access to everything that you need. And so we can make arrangements in those instances. But otherwise, everything that you need to read and view in the class is going to be provided on Canvas, and you won't have to pay for it. One of those things that I'm providing for you in Campus is interactive video lessons. Now, if you've taken online classes before, you're probably aware that the lecture activity that tends to happen in these classes happens in the form of videos, much like the one that you're watching right now. One of the things about the Panopto platform, which is the platform for videos that we're using on Canvas here at Mizzou, one of the things about it that's pretty neat is that you're able to embed quiz questions into these videos. Now, when I say quiz, don't worry about, oh, this is going to be something where I'm going to have to collect up all the points and it's going to affect my grade. Not at all. That's just what Panopto calls them. I'm one of those pinheads in the study of teaching and learning that would refer to this as formative self-assessment, which is basically a fancy way, as I may have mentioned in a previous video, of self-checking your learning. At various points in each video, the video is literally going to stop and ask you a few simple questions about the content that you just finished viewing. And it's going to give you an opportunity just to self-check and make sure that you understand the things that you've just viewed. And then you won't be able to move on further in the video until you've answered those questions. And they're generally pretty simple questions. Now, one thing about Panopto that's a little bit quirky is that if you don't answer all of the questions correctly, it's not going to notify Canvas that you've actually completed the lesson. And completing these video lessons is something that's going to factor into your active engagement component of the course grade. So the answer to that is just really simple. If you get any of the questions wrong as you're completing a video lesson, the video will let you know if you got one wrong. Just go back and do it again and answer it correctly. It's only going to take a second, and it's going to make sure that it's reinforced for you. This is the correct answer. This is the way you need to understand this content. Now, another aspect of formative self-assessment that I've built into the class that you might find interesting and you might find a little fun is some game-based quizzing. And again, just like the quiz questions on the video lessons, right or wrong answers aren't the kind of thing that affect your grade one iota. We're going to be using the Kahoot game platform. It's an app that you can download to access these, although you don't need to access them through an app at all. You can just access them online through the codes that I'm going to supply for each of these activities. You don't even have to register for any kind of membership, so you don't have to worry about disclosing any private or security information. Basically, this is a game approach to quizzing. The challenge that's built into it is that each of the questions is time limited, and so you get more points the quicker you're able to answer the question correctly. There's a leaderboard, and so you can kind of, compete with your friends a little bit with some friendly intellectual flexing. When we form our project teams, we'll be able to do some of these activities as group competitions to see where your group might fall on the leaderboard. But again, where you fall as to higher or lower on the leaderboard doesn't make any difference at all. It's just for kicks. The more important thing is that you're having some fun while you're reinforcing what I want you to learn in the readings and in the video lessons. So again, this is going to be something that folds into the active engagement category for your grade. Now, you may notice that so far we're talking about things like multiple choice quiz questions and readings and videos where you need to learn content, and that's pretty important. But arguably, it's not the most important components of the class. As I've mentioned in previous videos, you're going to be divided into two kinds of teams for class discussions and for the semester project. Now, 150 students in a class is a lot. It's certainly the biggest class that I've ever taught. And I've been teaching for about 30 years, give or take. I'm pretty old. Anyway, some of you have been, of course, in large lecture classes before, and you may have a sense of how they can feel impersonal, right? It's easy to kind of fly under the radar. Sometimes you don't even need to go to class, right? Because no one's going to miss you. That's not the way that we most effectively learn. And the kind of activity you're going to do in this class, it doesn't operate that way anyway. So in class discussions, and we won't have them every week, we're going to have one for each module, so about 7 discussions. You're going to be divided into teams of 25. So about the size of most of our normal COMM classes. And this is going to give you a good opportunity to develop connections with other folks in your discussion team. You're going to get to know each other a little bit better as you're answering prompts and replying to each other and testing ideas against each other, helping each other learn. This is how community building really happens. And so the smaller discussion size, I think, is going to feel a bit cozier, and it's going to be more comfortable for discussion purposes. And then, of course, for the semester communication career video project, you're going to be divided pretty early in the semester into teams of 4 to 5. And you're going to work with this team throughout the entire semester. As I did mention in that previous video on course assignments and assessments, the collaborative group project is, it's only 25% of your overall course grade, but the kinds of skill sets and dispositions you're going to need to use in order to successfully achieve a group project virtually using Zoom meetings and discussion boards and collaborative Google Docs and figuring out how you're going to compile and edit a video online. These are the kinds of skill sets that are absolutely in demand in all kinds of careers. I mentioned a 2018 article in a previous video that said that about 50% of all American workers have done some kind of collaborative online discussion and work together in groups online through virtual platforms. This is a skill that can help get you a job and help you succeed and advance in that job. So this is a great opportunity to start building that skill set. The first thing you'll do is decide which of the 4 focus areas for communication careers you'd like to do your project on. Just find your name in the list of students and then drag and drop it into the group that you're interested in. First come, first served, so don't sleep on this. Once everyone has picked which communication career focus area they'd like to work on for the team project, I'm going to take those larger groups and subdivide them into more focused project teams. Each project team is going to have their own group homepage available on Canvas. Just click on the 3 little dots and you can go right to visit your group homepage. What you're going to find on the homepage is a lot of interesting stuff. You'll see that I've already posted an announcement that's going to give you the rundown as to what you can do in this space. In brief, you're going to be able to do a variety of things that are going to help your collaboration. You can construct your own pages, which might be a good place to compile information, start drafting group documents for assignments. You can hold your own discussion boards. You can store files, copies of articles that you find or other pieces of evidence that might go into the final project. You can also click the collaborations button to start a Google Doc to actually collaborate on drafting what will eventually be the written components of your assignment. Now, as you can probably tell, an asynchronous online class is going to be something that you're not going to be able to do as a passive observer. And that's actually going to make for a really great learning opportunity. The primary philosophy behind this kind of class experience is what many scholars of teaching and learning refer to as self-directed study. One study on self-directed study described it this way. Learning should empower a student to become a free, mature, and authentic self. The idea is that at a certain point, sitting in a large room waiting for the genius in the front to fill you with wisdom that you'll learn through magical osmosis or something, and you expect to actually be able to learn that and reproduce it on a test and then remember it the next semester. That's not how real learning works, at least not the kind of learning that sticks. Self-directed learning means that you're going to be engaged in agency. You're going to take charge of your own learning. You're going to be the one that sets the schedule for, okay, I'm going to read this then I'm going to do these lessons. Here's when I'm going to do my discussions and how I'm going to make sure that I get that done on time. I'm going to be proactive in how I'm working together with my colleagues on the project team and so forth. You get to take charge, and that's empowering. And incidentally, this is the kind of approach to learning that is going to set you up really well, not just to succeed and boost your grades in all of your other college classes after this one. You're welcome. But also in the lifelong learning that's going to take place in the professional training and the professional development that you're going to have in a whole host of different careers after graduation. This kind of learning, especially learning in a self-directed way through virtual online platforms, is going to be something that many of you, if not most of you, are going to be doing for the rest of your life. So developing these skills and dispositions now is really going to set you up for success later. Now, that being said, many of you did not originally sign up to take an online class, right? And even if you're cool with that, you may not necessarily be used to approaching a class that puts so much on you. Now, that means that the other side of this coin is that the course has been designed to be inclusive and supportive. I've thought a lot about all of you before putting together this class. I know that we are a diverse group from all over the country and all over the world. We come from different identities in terms of geographical location. We have different identities with regard to ethnicity and culture and socioeconomic status and levels of education and value sets and all kinds of things, right? And we all need to be able to succeed in this class, especially since most of you are going to be more or less experienced with online learning. This is going to be something that you're going to be doing, if not for the first time, then at least for the first couple shots in your learning career. So the learning materials and the assignments that have been put into this course have been designed to help you succeed. And we're going to start this with Module 0, with opportunities for you to set some goals and to think about the kinds of patterns of study and academic behavior that are going to help you succeed. Assignments have been put together in a way that are scaffolded, again, another fancy teachery term, for basically setting things up for you step by step so that it's not midterm final project. That's not the way it should work. I would be in derogation of my duty as a teacher if I did that. Instead, this is intended to make sure that whether you're somebody who initially learns a little bit better through more sensory and visual multimedia involvement, or if you're somebody that works a little bit more effectively in terms of reading texts verbally, if you're the kind of person that really learns best in terms of discussing and interacting with others, there is something for all of you in this course. And you'll be able to also develop your skills in learning in these other different ways as well. Now, of course, one of the really important resources that's here designed for your success is me. I'm the teacher, and please don't forget that even though many of, if not most of your interactions with me in this course are going to be in a more or less one-way format through video announcements and lessons and things like that, please don't forget that I am here. I'm going to be checking into discussions. I'm going to be checking in with you to see how things are going. I have office hours posted a few times every week, and those times and days are listed on the syllabus on Canvas. A lot of office hours I spend by myself. I can play Magic the Gathering Arena online and keep myself entertained. I can do that. But I would much rather be having conversations with you as an individual, or perhaps as a project team if your team has questions or concerns about the assignment you're working on. Getting to know your instructor and having one-on-one conversations can often be the best way to clarify ideas that are a little bit muddy for you, to make sure that you're understanding and meeting the expectations for assignments, to get different perspectives on the things that you're learning about. And so please don't hesitate. And if my posted office hours don't work for you because of scheduling or other concerns, that's totally fine. Shoot me an email and we'll make an appointment outside of those office hours for a Zoom conversation. I'm here to have conversations with you. And just because we've got a large class of 150 students doesn't mean that we can't get to know each other. That's one of the best things I like about being a teacher. And so I'd appreciate the opportunity to have these conversations with you. So don't hesitate. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so if you've got any questions at all about the way that this class is set up, the various resources that are available for you on Canvas, the different assignments and assessments and activities that you're going to be responsible for, the learning objectives and why we're doing this stuff in the first place, shoot me your questions and concerns, and I'll be happy to chat about them with you. Otherwise, we've got a self-introduction video exercise happening for our first Module 0 discussion. I'm looking forward to meeting you there. See you soon.